Good morning, traders. Hello to everybody in the Bear Bull Trader community, and hello to all of our friends out there on YouTube. You may notice there's just one head, one pale head here today. Carlos has had some family, a little emergency. We'll let him describe it when he gets here. He's supposed to be here, probably going to be a few minutes late. So we're going to get started because the market waits for no one, does it? The show must go on. It's a good day here, actually. A little sunny today. I'm just looking out the window. Yep, sun. Excellent. No rain, Chris. Thanks for asking. And I hope you guys are having a good sunny day, both inside in your disposition and outside. The markets are starting to get into earnings season in earnest here. We've got a couple of earnings today and a lot of red. I was looking at some of the charts earlier, and if we start to look at the market indices, everything's down. The SPY is down. The Qs are down. Most everything on my screen is red. So looks like we're heading for a red day, exactly as Jared warned us. If you haven't been paying attention to engineering the markets and what Jared's been talking about, you might want to, because so far his Nostradamus-like predictions are coming completely accurate. So he knows what's happening. We do have some economic numbers this morning. If we want to switch there, we can start looking at them. Nothing major, but a couple of things that might be of interest. We'll start with both housing starts and building permits just came out a couple of minutes ago, pretty much right on target. As you can see, housing starts was estimated at 1.3 million. It came out at 1.353 million. Right there, right? Same number. Building permits slightly higher at 1.4 million, which shows a little bit of growth, but that also came in right at target at 1.446 million. So right in there. Later on this morning, we do have Barkin that's doing a speech at 9. Markets don't care. They usually ignore them altogether. We do have at 9:15 two numbers, the industrial production, which is the larger or more important of the two, and then the capacity utilization. Neither, though, are probably going to move the market, to be honest. And then we've got another speech from Waller. The big number for today is probably going to be the beige book. The markets don't do anything massive with it, but the computers will read this beige book when it comes out. The beige book, if you're not familiar with it, it's just an amalgamated, report on what the Fed's opinion is. So it shouldn't be anything new, but it's produced by a different Fed location every quarter, I think is when it comes out. And it's again, no surprises. However, that never seems to stop the Wall Street computers from reading it and having a little bit of a market reaction. Typically, the market will react in one direction or another, depending on how they interpret the information, and then move back to the original position. So if you're trading this afternoon around 2 o'clock, or maybe you want to take advantage of this typical type move, again, there's no guarantees, right? You never know what the market's going to do. But again, typically you can get this reaction and then a return to sort of your previously scheduled trading activities. So I just don't want you surprised if you're in a trade and suddenly things either go strongly in your favor or strongly against you. You either weather it, or it might cause you to have to get out of something that you weren't planning to. So just be aware of that. 2 o'clock this afternoon, it's probably the biggest event of the day. And even that, again, not expected to be a huge event, as we're not expecting any surprises. Okay, so with that, I mentioned earnings. And we do have earnings that are starting. So as you can see, right, the calendar's getting much busier. It started on yesterday, on Tuesday. Today, hump day, midday of the week, we have a lot of earnings. Nothing huge that I would typically trade or that we typically talk about. But we'll talk about a couple of them. We do have a Semiconductor and ASML. We have Johnson & Johnson that's reporting a bunch of sort of, let me call them mid-tier banks. that again, not big traders or market impact, but we'll cover some of those. And then if you look forward, tonight is when it starts to get interesting, right? Equifax can sometimes have an impact. United Airlines is reporting after the close. We've got some bigger ones coming on Thursday morning, Thursday evening. So yeah, our earnings season is starting to kick off a little bit more, and that's when things should be a little bit more fun. All right, for now, let's go back to the markets here, and we'll take a look at what's moving on our gappers list. Actually, I don't know. Without Carlos, do we have a gappers list?
Yeah, sorry, I don't have it without Carlos.
Brent doesn't have a gappers list. Okay, well then, you know what we could do? Hold on a sec. Let's come right over here. Let me do this. I am going to put this over here, and using tradingterminal.com, I'll pull up my gappers, and here we've got it. Let's see if I can make this bigger. There we go. Now you can all see it. And because we do have a few things that are gapping. Oh, wait a second. I actually have to share that with you. Sorry, guys. I'm figuring out what I'm doing here, too. All right. Oh, Carlos, man. All right, here we go. There you go. So we do have a number of things gapping. I'm surprised to see that there's anything on the gap up list, because frankly, when I look at my list of stocks, it is pretty much red across the board. But let's see what's gapping up here a little bit, and I'm going to start with this LCFY, which occasionally we see this thing pop up on our list. And sorry, guys, I can either show you me, or I can show you interesting things with the data. So we're going to go data. All right. The pre-market action is looking a little iffy here. This is an Australian content company, Locify. Anybody familiar with Locify? Locify. I thought I've seen this on the list, but the name doesn't sound familiar. I don't even know why it's moving today, frankly. It looks like it just barely made the target list here with it's got good volume, 1.8 million shares traded so far this morning, but I really don't know why, and I'm a little slow here because I'm doing like news and all sorts of other stuff on top of it. So I don't know that I love it. Let me take a look at the daily chart with you guys. Ooh. It's been moving over the last couple of days. Still don't know why. If anybody's got news on it, you can help me out with. Because look at this previous price action. Up until like Thursday of last week, it was boring as all get out. But look at this move from $2.50 up to 11, back down to $3.50 by Monday, and now we're up to $6. So I'm going to consider this a $2 stock that's going a little crazy. Probably not my favorite thing, but if you guys can tell me why, then we might take a look at it. All right, moving on. This is another one that we have looked at before. I think this is GitLab, GTLB. It is GitLab. Look at that. All right. You trade long enough, you start to know all the companies by their ticker symbol. It's funny, like sometimes I'm in like social situations and I'll be talking and I'm like, I was watching LI today, and the whole group of them, LI and XPEV and Neo, were all moving, and I can see like people looking at me with like blank stares, and I realized I'm like using insider terms, like it's all stock tickers, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, all right, let me try and use some company names. I was watching EVs, and they're still looking blank. Electric vehicle companies, and they're like, oh yeah, electric cars, yeah. Anyways. All right, social problems. All right, GitLab, back to our stock ticker here. By the way, this is what happens when you get me alone. I'm going to slip into dad mode quite regularly, so get ready for it. Okay, here we go. GitLab. They are looking at a potential sale, so that usually gets things moving. Apparently, they say that they're interested. They're accepting all bidders. Which is interesting because normally companies just don't go public and say we're up for sale. But with AI being as high as it is, it might be a good time for them to cash out if they can. Looks like some of the founders may be looking for a payday today. So no actual bidders have stepped up, but I'm going to add it to my secondary list just to keep an eye on it here because whenever they sort of say we're looking for bidders, it probably will take a few days before So you hear anything back or longer, right? Because I mean, you don't sort of just create an offer for a company, on a whim. You've got to take a little time at that. So interesting news. I see that the volume's fairly low at only 330,000 shares so far this morning. And you know what I should do? I'm going to do this. One sec. Reconfiguring on the fly, right? Hold on. We're going to move a little window in here so that I can see the shares along with everything that's moving. All right, here we go. Hopefully you guys can actually read this. Okay, so GitLab not as good as Locify, but from a volume perspective, might be a better trader. Okay, next on my list is VF Corp. And let me try and link these here. So VF Corp, only 300,000 shares. Ooh, it's a nicely traded stock. Not my favorite. VF Corp probably is trading on earnings, but I didn't look up earnings on this today. But apparently not, actually. They are, VF is selling one of their divisions. So they're selling something called Essilor. No, so they're selling Supreme brand to a company called Essilor Luxottica. What the hell is going on? What are the name of these companies? All right, I'm getting old again. For about $1.5 billion. So that's a good cash infusion for them, but probably not going to be an ongoing, tradable event for VFC today. So I'm going to keep moving on here. Next on my list is BE. Bloom Energy doesn't usually trade very well, even when it pops up on our list. It's sort of, it's I don't know. I'm not sure what's up with Bloom, but it never really trades all that well. It looks like but hey, they're quoting some good things. They're going to partner with a company called CoreWeave to to work on AI data center solutions. You know that all you have to do is mention AI, and people go a little gaga. Look what they're doing today. They're moving this up almost 10%. With a move from about $15 at the close yesterday to $16.50. And I like the daily here. Look at where it sits. If it can get up over 17 and this area where it was showed resistance at the top side, there might be some moves for Bloom Energy. A data center move. I'm going to take a note of this. Might be something good today, but I'm not excited so far about anything on the list. Let's keep moving. FDMT. 4D molecular therapeutics. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? That's a company you can say, hey, I work somewhere. It sounds good. They have phase 2 trials, looks like, is what they're doing. What the? All right, I'm going to read this to you guys because I don't know what I'm going to say. They have positive phase 2 trials for an intravitreal 4D 150 broad wet AMD population affirming favorable safety profile and robust clinical activity. What? Huh? Anyways, yeah, if that thing gets you excited, seek help. Anyways, they're only moving on 295,000 shares. It is gapping up. I don't like it, but I had fun reading it to you. All right, moving on. Intel, something we actually know and sometimes love. All right, 4 million shares traded on Intel this morning. They did not report earnings, so that's not what's going on here. But we have seen movement in this entire sector, right? NVIDIA and AMD, we've been talking about them the last few days, as we often talk about them, because they've been moving. They're at the top end of this little range that they set over the last 4 or 5 days. I like it, breaking out to the top side with tons of volume. So they had some good news, both analyst news and pseudo inside news, as apparently they are poised to start to take over in the sector. I'm not sure. That feels like it's a little bit overstated, but let me see here. You gotta get into this news because there's a lot of conflicting things going on. Intel apparently has a venture capital arm that is getting a lot of investment out of China, and to the tune of about $147 billion worth of funding that they're using to buy Chinese companies and take a position in that market. That may be a political problem for them going forward, it looks like. But in the short term, they're certainly getting attention as people focus on this a little bit more. I think Intel might actually be in play today. Usually when I talk semis, you guys know, right? I'm going to I'm going to an AMD and I'm going to Nvidia. But both of them, AMD is sitting at 1.2 million shares, which is good today. Nvidia up 12.6 million. They've been trading tons of volume recently. Remember, I guess with the reverse split, that puts them into a trading range, and you can see how the volume picked up sort of early June when that split happened, and has just stayed high ever since. So the fact that Intel is in here with 4 million shares makes it good for this morning. So I think Intel's got to go on the list for the morning, and it'll be the first one that I'll take a serious look at as we get to a little bit later. All right, so that's what I have on my gap up list. I have a couple that I do want to mention that are gapping up that aren't on the list. We're going to start with Johnson & Johnson. It's an earnings play. We only talk about Johnson & Johnson normally when it has earnings. We only have 100,000 shares traded. It typically does not trade a lot of volume pre-market here. However, they did have earnings and had good guidance. They beat their numbers top and bottom line this morning, but I'm surprised that they're gapping up because they did cut their full year guidance, and they were actually gapping down a little bit earlier. Looks like they've popped up just to be barely green so far this morning. If I look at the 1 minute chart, you can sort of see how they were trending lower earlier in the morning. It's hard to see on my chart because I got lots going on here, but up until just after 8 o'clock, they were sort of in the red, popped up into the green, but it's not looking great for trading volume. Now, don't let that fool you. Johnson & Johnson typically trades good volume, and it can absolutely come in play after the opening bell rings. So that's something that you might want to keep an eye on. The other one I'm going to mention here this morning is U.S. Bank Corp, USB. U.S. Bank Corp also not trading a lot of volume. In fact, it's even lower here at only 18,000 shares. But they're sort of at the tail end of the banking stocks. We were talking about the rest of them. The big banks have already reported. USB reported this morning, beating their numbers top and bottom line, lower loan volume and higher deposit costs than expected. However, they're still holding out well here. If you were following some of the banks in the last couple of days, I wasn't that excited about them, but I have to admit, some of them moved very well. Bank of America especially. If we look back here over the last couple of days, look at the move Bank of America made yesterday. I was quite surprised by that. Unfortunately, I was trading something else and wasn't paying attention, but it made a great move yesterday. So maybe U.S. Bank Corp can move. It's not the only bank to have reported this morning, by the way. There was a couple of other, I'll say second-tier banks, at least from a trading perspective, smaller banks, Synchrony Financial, Citizens Financial Group, Northern Trust, First Horizon, First Community. You can see a whole bunch of these banks that have reported this morning. None of them are really going to make our list. So let's see. What else did I have for a gap up? I think that was it. So if you like any of those that I've mentioned, take note. I'm just going to mention them, probably not follow them whatsoever. All right, I'm going to move to our gap down list. And I'm actually hoping that Carlos gets here soon because it's a lot of work doing this alone. I'm not used to working so hard. Okay, let me get back to the charts for you guys. I'm looking at the gap down list. I'm starting with Sava here. Sava, S-A-V-A, which we see occasionally on our list. Cassava Sciences, another biotech out there that, I don't know, not huge news today, really. They basically are changing their executive around a little bit. New chairman of the board, their CEO has resigned. Looks like they're going to take a search for a new CEO. So definitely some executive turmoil coming on here, and it doesn't seem like it's very planned. So Cassava Science is gapping down this morning on the news that they've got a little bit of strife happening at the executive level. This actually looks not bad this morning. Look at 1.6 million shares. Look at the price action. Not bad on Sava. I'm looking at it. It's at the bottom end of this wick that it had put in back in June. It's you got to go back. Let's go back on a weekly. It's as low as it's been since early 2021. or late 2020. Yeah, this might be in play. I might actually want to put this on a list just to keep an eye on it. I don't normally love this type of news, but I'm going to make a note of it here and keep it on deck just in case it gets some good price action after the open. And I'm trying to take a paper note. Okay, here we go. And we'll see what happens with it. All right, next up, 5. This is a Five Below. Again, a stock that typically only appears a couple of times a year. I wasn't tracking it for earnings, so I wonder what the news is on Five Below. Oh my goodness, look at this. It's another one where it looks like they've got executive problems. So this is a Five Below. In the States, you guys might know it. I know a number of people when I last time were saying, yeah, we know this. We've shopped there. Never heard of it. I don't know that I've ever seen these stores either, but it is an American retail store. Anyways, their CEO was resigned unexpectedly, and at the same time, they've actually lowered their guidance for the next quarter. So maybe the CEO saw the writing on the wall and said, "Oh, didn't make the numbers. I better get out." So 500,000 shares traded so far this morning. Let's look at what the price action looks like. Not awesome, because I say that because you can see gaps here on the 1 minute chart. You can see minutes where you have like no shares trading, so doesn't really look awesome. Probably not one that I'm going to track. We got better things today. Speaking of better things, let's see if this is one of them. ADVM, Adverum Biotech. Doesn't sound familiar to me. ADVM, low float stock here, only 13 million shares on the float, and looks like they've struggled with the phase 2 trial of one of their drugs. So they, of course, reported positive outcomes on the drug, which most of the time these companies do, but the market's not buying it. So yeah, it looks like it's not performing as well as some of their competitor drugs for the same treatment program, and it's therefore dropping. I don't love this biotech news. The 1 minute chart looks horrible. I'm going to move on. The next thing, and I noticed it just popped up above it, is ASML. So that is one that has earnings that I was tracking. Semiconductor, it's sort of a semiconductor equipment play here, but you can consider it a semiconductor and an AI play in this market. And it's trading with low volume, only 200,000 shares. However, they did have earnings that were reported this morning. And on those earnings, they actually beat their numbers. So they had a good quarter. However, they cut their sales guidance for the full year. And whenever you cut your guidance for the next quarter in the year, the market usually punishes you for that. So so that's something to keep an eye on. And, it may affect this market. The semiconductor sector is well, actually, you know what? I don't have it here. I usually have it. I was going to say it's red, but that's where I usually have my semiconductors, not the place, because we know Intel here is gapping up. So let me check the others. What are they doing? NVIDIA is down. AMD is down. Taiwan Semiconductor is down. What else can I talk? Qualcomm down. So most things are down here. We really only have Intel that's bucking the trend. So I think it should be an interesting market here for the semis. I'm going to be watching a few of them, probably with Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA all on my list. So speaking of them, Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, happens to be next on our list, gapping down almost 6% on 2 million shares traded. So it's obviously in play this morning as well. Every time I watch this, I get a little disappointed. I really do, because I keep thinking, today's going to be the day when it trades well and when the momentum is good. This is dual traded, by the way, so it does make it a little more difficult to trade on the North American markets, being a Taiwanese company. But it typically is, you're better off to watch one of the sort of what can I call it? A North American natural stock, or ones that are primarily or only traded on the North American market, just because it eliminates that uncertainty and that confliction you can sometimes get between dual market traded stocks, where they and the reason why we shy away is not because they're foreign. That is not important. What's important is when they're dual traded, you can get moves that happen in a different market that then just sort of carry over to the North American market as sudden gap movements that are harder to predict and manage. And that's what I don't like, right? I want to avoid stocks that gap unpredictably. And that's why when they're dual traded, often I will avoid them. But anyways, TSM is moving probably from general news out of the market, right? We got a little negativity, and the entire tech sector has been down. If you were following it yesterday, there was not, I don't think there was one out of the Magnificent Seven that wasn't dropping yesterday, right? They were all moving downward as tech sort of lost a lot of sort of space and that's altitude. Others picked up, by the way. It wasn't all doom and gloom, right? There were some sectors that were doing well to hold the market relatively stable, but the tech sector for sure was down yesterday, and semis leading the way. They lead the way up, then they're probably going to be leading the way down. So we'll see what's going to happen. Taiwan Semiconductor especially is going to be one of those companies that in the current political landscape is probably not as well positioned as some others, right? So I think there's some anticipation that they may take a hit if politics go and the election goes the way people are now thinking it might. So TSM sort of in play, but not one of my favorite stocks. Okay, moving on. ACHR is the next one on the list. And I'm not going to be able to go through all of these. I know there's a bunch of ones coming up that I can sort of lump together because we're going to get to the Bitcoin stuff momentarily here. But anyways, let's talk ACHR. Don't love it just at first glance. The price action today is not good. This is Archer Aviation, a U.S. Aviation company. Not a low float. That surprises me. I was expecting to be a low float, but oh my goodness. This is one of the ones that I love to talk about because it is a flying car company. I didn't know that the U.S. had flying car companies. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Oh, they are trying to pull out the cool. Here's photos of Archer Aviation. All right. Look at that. Looks cool. I'll give them that. But like I've said many times in the past, I like how they do the cool, hey, look, I'm on a runway looking awesome with my propellers ready to chop me in half. You know what? I am not going, Scott, you're not getting me on it. I'm going to watch people fly on these for a long time before you convince me to get in one of these bad boys. Look at this. I mean, look at this thing. It looks cool, but this is like a 12 propeller drone that they're going to put you in, and you think I'm taking that somewhere? Are you kidding me? No way. Anyways, it's Archer Aviation here in the news. Uh-oh, and I got rid of my scanners. Let's bring them back for you. Call them right up off a trading terminal here. So. Yeah, you're not getting me in one of those things anytime soon. But it's in the news. I'm surprised to see it on our list. Trading 400,000 shares so far this morning. They're in the news as again, it seems to be politically based, being it's a U.S. based flying car company. They're expecting that regulations may be delayed again if Trump takes the presidency. So a lot of political speculation going on some of these stocks. So it's gapping down about 5% so far this morning. Yeah, you know what? The Jetsons did, Craggy Writer, it's a good little picture he put into our chat room. Did promise me flying cars. I am disappointed that we don't have flying cars, I have to admit, because I feel like when I was a kid, but long before I was this age, I thought like I'd have a flying car. It was like it's 2024, like we're in flying car territory, aren't we? Like I feels like that we should be there already, but we're not. So
that just looks like a helicopter with extra steps.
It feels like a drone on steroids.
Yeah, it looks weird.
Looks like, and that so am I getting on a drugged up drone? No way. So there you go. There's my rant for today. Where's me? You could put me up with my cardigan then. I'll let some other crazy kids take that. That's not the thing that I'm going to get into. All right. Let me get back on track here. I noticed that on my gap down list, you can see some of the others that are up here. We've already talked about the semiconductor sector, MU, AMD, NVIDIA, all on the list. Earlier this morning, I was looking at a lot of the Bitcoin stocks that I noticed were on the gap down list as well. And Bitcoin here down a little bit, but this morning, right, from where it was pre-market, where it was gapping higher. But if you look at Bitcoin over the last few days, I mean, it's certainly up from the lows that it was at. It was sitting down around $56,000 to $58,000 for Bitcoin. It's now up around 65,000. So, it's not doing that bad, frankly. The fact that Bitcoin's gapping down is just part of the move. Remember, most of this Bitcoin action happens overnight. Let's just take a look at let me look at a 30-minute chart here on Bitcoin. And you can see, where does all the price action happen, right? Where does all the movement happen? It happens in the evening. During the market day, right, we get some of this cautious movement a little bit, and then it sort of gaps right back down all overnight. So I see that like day after day. So I usually I watch one, whether it's Mara or Coin or Riot or one of those, but then I just ignore the rest, frankly, for the day, because they typically don't do anything fun for me. All right, what else we got on the list? I noticed down here on the list we've got Carnival Cruise Lines, which is on here. 400,000 shares, gapping down just about 2% today. Why is Carnival moving? I'm looking for news here. I don't know why it's moving. If anybody does, feel free to let everyone else know. Comment here. But Carnival seems to be moving a little bit, but I can't tell you why. So I got nothing. All right. So you know what? I'm not going to try and start picking other things off the list. There's just a whole bunch of stuff in here that are gapping down a little bit. I think the big news for today is really it's sort of the balance of the banks that are moving with earnings coming out at the tail end of the banks, and then the semiconductor sector. Intel with the semiconductors is definitely sort of going to be on my list. I already mentioned AMD and NVIDIA going to stay there. We saw TSM also gapping down. So you can sort of pick whichever ones you want. I wouldn't recommend you try and watch all of them, right? Because you want to diversify across sectors. So you might want to watch a couple of other things. Maybe a Johnson & Johnson might not be a bad target. Again, not moving hugely so far, but may come into play a little bit later. Let's go to you guys. What are you watching? Anything that I haven't talked about on your list that you want to take a look at, both in the chat room and in YouTube? We'd love to get your comments. By the way, if you're in YouTube, give us a thumbs up and a like. It really helps. Greatly appreciate that, because it just helps the growth of the channel. Lets us know that you're out there and that you're paying attention. If you want to ask questions, by the way, feel free to do that anytime. I'll do my best to pick out those questions. I see Melanie McNulty talking about Porsche releasing its EV. They've had EVs for a while. They've got their next generation EV that's coming out. I'm conflicted about that, because they actually have they have an okay EV. There's been some reported problems, some issues they've had with the electrical wiring on some of their EV vehicles, and when they get into trouble, it can be a nightmare. I'm a Porsche guy. If you guys don't know that, I've owned one for 15 years now, and I love it. Love it. It's a great car. Don't regret buying it for a day. And it's a great car. I use it for everything. It was a super car in its day, 911 turbo, right? You got to go with that. But it's a great vehicle, and I've got no complaints. But yeah, I don't know about going EV, because mine's a manual, and you got to like the old ICE engine in those if you're going to go with a sports car like that. So I don't know. Anyways. But there's no question that a well-equipped EV can kick my butt on the road. So what can you do? Anyways, all right. I'm looking for. I was just buying time while you guys put up some stocks, and it seems like I got everybody talking cars instead of stocks. So yay me. All right. Caterpillar. Well, let's see what Caterpillar's doing. Let's go back to actually looking at some stocks here, and see what Caterpillar's up to. Only 24,000 shares traded so far this morning, so it's not looking great. Let's take a look at it on the daily, see what it's doing. Wow, good move for Caterpillar over the last few days. Has not been on my radar whatsoever. It often is sort of indicates what's going to be happening well, it's obviously in the heavy equipment space, but what's going to be happening for manufacturing down the road, because higher sales of equipment leads to often other sort of growth sectors. So let's see what happens with Caterpillar. I'm looking for news on it to see if there's any upside news. I don't see any. I'm thinking that Caterpillar might be great for a longer term trade on a daily. It's heading to an area where if it can break through this 362, it might be great to the top side. But I don't think intraday it's necessarily going to be a good day trading stock. It typically is not. But let's see what it did yesterday. Wow, good move on it yesterday. Look at that move yesterday. So yeah, some good price action if you're following it. Who knows if it can follow that up with another good day today, but or even a good move down, one way or the other. Yeah, it'll be a risk if you're going to buy that. Okay, I see people mentioning Intel that we already talked about. Is it doing something? Whoops, something interesting? Well, no, it's just still going up. And what else you guys got on YouTube? UAL. Now UAL. They have earnings after the close tonight. We mentioned that in passing earlier. So it's probably not going to be a big mover today. There's just going to be some positioning as they get ready for earnings. Obviously, the big movement is going to happen after we understand what United is going to report. And they're probably the first of the big airlines that's going to be reporting. So there is a lot of expectations on them as to what's going to come out for United. I see people mentioning Meta. We'll just take a quick look at Meta, see what it's doing. Not so much this morning, 400,000 shares. It is gapping down about 2%. On a daily chart, it is down below its consolidation range it had through the month of June. We're heading back to May levels here. So yeah, Meta is pushing down and may be weak again today. At least it's starting the day out that way. So might be a good one to watch on Meta. There's a few of these, right, that are in this bucket. Meta, I talked about the Magnificent Seven. Meta, Amazon, Google. Right, you can see they're all gapping down, sort of below these levels that they'd set back in June. So we may be heading lower on all of these stocks. Don't preempt that, right? Don't guess where you think things are going. If you start to see them move and they're setting patterns that match with your strategy, then by all means trade them. But don't just start taking trades on anticipation, because you might get lucky once or twice. The problem is you're going to get caught bad, right, if you sort of get on the wrong side of the trade and then get stubborn on it. So I don't want anybody doing that, because that's bad news. All right, we are running a little late because you know what? I like to talk. Let's take a look at first what we've got for webinars tonight. We do have a webinar that, and Brent, is this something that you can bring up, or do I need to?
Sorry, it's usually on Carlos's computer.
On Carlos as well, no problem. We got you. I'm going to the main page of Bear Bull Traders here, and right on there, we've got all sorts of stuff. But let me go to the webinars, and I can tell you what we've got going on, because it is psychology night tonight, which means that we're going to have Mike with us, who's going to be talking about why a strategy is a key element of mastering the trade psychology. So that's the webinar for tonight. And that's going to be at the usual time, 8 o'clock, usual place in the webinar room. So hopefully you'll attend that. Mike always puts on a good session. He knows his stuff. He's sort of the grandfather of our psychology section, and he sort of runs that section of our community for us. He's bringing Randy Howell next week, by the way, to talk about how you can master your mind to bring the uncertainty of price movement into clarity for you on your trading. So that'll be next week, July the 24th at 8 p.m. So that's what we got coming this and next week. Hopefully you'll put those in your calendar. All right. Whew, that's what we got going on there. Always lots of stuff happening. By the way, if you ever want to join us at Bear Bull Traders, we'd love to have you. Like, we do live trading all day. Going back to the main page, we apparently need to update this. Why is the summit still here? Anyways, got to get our web people on that. If you're web people, you're listening to me. Fix that. We have 4 different membership options you can take advantage of, from our intro or basic, which give you limited access to our webinars, and then, of course, access to the chat room, to our elite and Elite Annual, which give you the best price and access to all of our material. So we have a great community of great traders here who can help you out trading all day. So hopefully you will consider joining us in the chat room at some point. All right. We got so much going on here, isn't it? I mean, I feel like it's going to be a good day. You remember yesterday where we had like nothing on the gap list and we weren't sure what to trade? It was a slow day. Yesterday afternoon, we were in the room. I sort of closed out the room from 3 to 4. Oh my God, it was boring. It was so boring. So I'm hoping that we get better price action today, and it's looking like it. We got a few things on the list here to keep an eye on, a few things that you might want to put an eye to here. So we'll see what happens. Carlos is not. I thought he'd be back by now, to be honest. Didn't think we'd have to fly solo this long. So he's not here, which means I guess it's up to me to start setting some levels. So I'm going to try and set some levels on things, and we'll see what we do. I do like, the spaces that a number of these things are sitting in. So we're going to have to go back to our list here. Let's start with, I think, what feels like the big one today is Intel, because Intel's like the only really thing that's gapping up. And as I said, it's above these levels. So usually you can see in red on my chart, I got lots of things that get marked here. So pardon all the lines, but the red dashed lines are the high and lows of the previous days. I put a big dash for the highs of the previous 2 days and a small dash for the lows of the previous 2 days. It allows me to see where they're at. By the way, these levels are great, to sort of mark automatically, because then I don't have to set them. And I color code and I guess style code them, right? So my high levels are always in big dashes and my low levels are always the small dashes, right? Easy system. That way I know what's happening. The high and low of the current day goes in sort of the purple color. Red is for the high and low of the previous 2 days. Allows me to see where everything is. And I can keep lots of lines on my chart without confusing them with a quick mental reference. Anyways, Intel is gapping above this area, which means we need to go back on the daily and see where we're going to. And there's definitely a range right in here that I can mark for you guys, put on here, because look at where it had this previous gap, right? Around 3660, 3670. 3670 to be precise is where the top end of that gap is. So I'm going to set my level right at 3670 here. And that's an area I think we need to keep a look at. If Intel, can't even pronounce it. I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Anyways, Intel gaps higher than 3670. We have a chance to go all the way up here to about 3710. 3705, 3710. So a good little move there. But Intel is not typically a big mover. Look at these daily candles, right? We don't get a lot of movement on Intel. So, set your expectations appropriately as to how big of a move you can get out of this. While we're doing Intel, I might as well stick in the sector. We're going to look at NVIDIA, because NVIDIA's at the other end, right? Gapping down a little bit. Notice I already have a daily level set here at 118.04, which is where this day back in June the 24th, here set a low, and it's sort of the same area where we had a gap. So it gapped up, right? Came into this area, came down, hit it as support, and then stayed above that. So I'm going to be watching that level, because I think that it might be a level of support again at 118. If we gap below that, well then look, I think we definitely be going down to 116.50, because you can see that's sort of the top end of that previous gap. So I'm going to put a marker there. What is the actual close on 116.43? So yeah, I'm gonna put sort of an advanced marker at 116.45, so I know exactly where that level is. I can keep an eye on it. If we get through that, I'm going to revisit my daily chart. So that's NVIDIA for me. Let's do AMD briefly. Now you can see I watch AMD every day, so I've got lines all over this chart because I am always watching it. The current price sitting at around $170, and I got daily levels already marked at 168.60, 166.20, because of course we're gapping down below the previous 2 days action. We're heading back into this consolidation area that we had at the end of May. So it gets messy. AMD gets messy in this space. So more than these daily levels, I'm going to be watching sort of the short term. See, like if I go back and let's look at a 60-minute chart, right? What was AMD doing last time it was trading in this range? And you can see didn't spend much time in this range, right? It really came up through it very quickly over the course of a couple of hours. So I'd be looking for a support area down here at 164 if we start to get gap down off the open. So we'll see what happens on AMD, but it's definitely, as you can see on the 1 minute chart, definitely looking weak this morning, although it has stabilized since 8 o'clock in a range. So we'll see what happens with it. Last on this list of semiconductors, I'll look at TSM. TSM gapping down. We already talked about that. It's in an area consolidation from the end of June. Definitely putting a level 168.40-ish right here. I would expect to see some support, but that's about $7 from the current price. Feels like a big move for TSM that typically doesn't move that far. So let me go back in the short term, right? You can see even pre-market, it's only moved about $3 or $4. So I wouldn't expect huge moves once the opening bell rings on TSM. In fact, my expectation is we're probably going to stay within this range that it's set. The low of the pre-market at 174.30, the high of the pre-market, well, it's way up here at 181. I think we're actually would stay within the high of probably around the 177-ish area, because that's where it's played since 8 o'clock this morning. So that is my expectation on TSM. We'll see if I get proven wrong once the opening bell rings. Others on our list that we had, Johnson & Johnson. We were talking about that earlier. So as I said, not a lot of volume pre-market, but I think it might be poised for some movement. Gapping down slightly this right now, was gapping up when we looked at it earlier. I think you've got the high of pre-market as an area to look at, right? 154.56. You can see it automatically on my chart. Over here on May the 17th, we had a high of 154.86. So I'm going to put a level there so I can keep an eye on it. And then we have the highs and lows the previous 2 days that are going to set some downside range for me. So I think that's good enough for me to watch on Johnson & Johnson. What else were we looking at? Well, we were looking at Cassava Sciences. That I said might be an interesting one. Let me call up Sava here. Sava on the daily, gapping right down. Right now, it's sort of sitting at the bottom end of this range it's set earlier this month, the month of July. And we definitely have the low that it's set here at June the 28th at $8.79. So I'm going to set a marker there to give me a reminder of that level. If we get there, it's probably going to be significant. We'll see what happens with this thing today. I don't even know if, I mean, it's got good volume. Again, 2.3 million shares. We'll see if this price action continues after the open. We really have to wait for the bell and see what occurs. If I go back on the daily chart, like I mentioned earlier, you got to go back quite a ways before we find levels like this. Back to 2020, early 2021 in Cassava Sciences. The last time we were in this range, and you can see sat in a tight range around $8, $7-8 for a very, very long period of time. So before it broke out here, going from 8 to 12. Yeah, and then it sort of moved higher and hadn't looked back. So, yeah, this is a scary place for it. If it goes back, I think you should expect the whole dollars to be and the half dollars to be significant on Cassava Sciences today. So we'll see what it does if it gets back down below 9 after the opening bell. All right, what have I missed here? I think that was it for my list for levels. Did I miss any that I should be setting levels at? Let's take a look at some of our... I haven't even looked at Tesla today. What the heck's Tesla up to? Not much. 2.4 million shares, so good volume on Tesla, but gapping down 2.2%. You would expect that with the market, right? It's really just moving at the market. What are the Qs at? See, the Qs are down 1.5%. The SPY is down 1.1%. So yeah, Tesla, sort of down about that range, maybe a little bit more. Tesla's always in play. So we're going to keep an eye on it, see what happens. For me, my list right now is going to be sitting on, so my gappers list, if you want to look at it that way, is going to be on Taiwan Semiconductor. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to keep an eye on Intel and AMD. So that's 3 semis on my list. I think I'm also going to look at Sava for Cassava Sciences. I'm going to be taking. I'll keep a side eye on J&J, Johnson and Johnson, just to see what it does. And I'm always watching Tesla, just because it always makes good moves, and I want to see what happens. All right, so let me drag over our moderators list. My God, I'm losing my words here. And see what they're doing. Our moderators today only have a couple that have posted so far. So, moderators, a few of them in. If you get more, put them in there, and we'll talk about them. So far, Thor is up. He's saying he's going to be watching Amazon and Nvidia. Now, haven't really taken an in-depth look at Amazon. Sorry. It's my face. You don't need my face. Let's take a look at here. Amazon and Nvidia, and of course, he's going to be looking at his futures contracts here. Pierre is going to be looking at Nvidia, Mara, PLTR, GME, and Tesla. What's GME doing? GME doing anything this morning? 1.7 million shares. Let's see what it's doing here. It's moving up slightly so far this morning. It doesn't look great. Not sure why he likes GME, but he does. So all power to him. Mike B is going to be looking at Intel and MU. Now, MU is one of the few semis I didn't look at whatsoever. Let's see what MU's up to. Just under 1 million shares, which is good volume for a pre-market. You know what? Compared to some of the others, frankly, all power to you, Mike. I'll let Mike tell me if MU is doing something fun. I'm going to stick with all the other semis I've already taken an eye to. Brian's just come in with his list: NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Tesla, and Amazon on his list. So good list there. All ones that we sort of talked about, all expected to be in play today. So I think that's going to be a good one. Maybe we go back to some of the stuff we do have. I'll just keep another final reminder here on our economic calendar. So we do have a couple of things on that economic calendar that are coming up. We had just a couple of minutes ago some additional financial numbers. You notice the market didn't really pay attention when the industrial production and capacity utilization, I told you they probably wouldn't be that big. Both were pretty much on target. The industrial production was a little higher. 0.3% was the forecast, 0.6% was the actual, and the capacity utilization was pretty much right on target. 78.5 forecast, 78.8 actual, so within a margin of error, so nothing big. At 9:35, right after the open, we do have Waller that's speaking. Probably not going to impact the market. The market's just going to do what it's going to do. But I do want you guys to remember that beige book at 2 p.m. If you're still here this afternoon, know that when that beige book comes out, the market typically reacts. And you need to be aware of that and ready in case you are in or considering a trade at that time. All right. That's what I've got for the markets this morning. We had to make do without my good buddy Carlos here. So I hope everything's good with the family and that he's going to be back with us tomorrow. It's May, what is it today? July the 17th today. It is hump day, midday of the week. So, it's usually a good day for trading. Hopefully you get some good opportunity. As I always, remind you, trade smart, follow your strategy. Don't anticipate anything. Trade only when you see the signals, and make sure that you stick to your strategies so that you can, at least at the end of the day, said, I did what I said I was going to do, and I can now get some useful data, win or lose, out of this, and understand how to improve my trading going forward. With that, we're going to move over to our live traders. I think we have both Brian and Andrew today. Are they with us yet? Brent's hanging out in the background, always helping me out here. But are they hanging out that they can take over?
Yeah, they can enter in the chat room, and I'll get them from there.
Fantastic. If we get them going on there in the chat, I see Brian's ready to go. All right. Rock on, dude. Party on.
Hang loose. All right.
There he is. You're good. All right. I'm going to hand it over to you, Brian. Hopefully Andrew will be here to join you soon. If not, well, we'll get someone else. Maybe Thor can jump in. Or if not, I'll certainly be there to help you. But one way or the other, guys, trade smart and have a good open.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So I guess market really didn't like comment that was made about not defending Taiwan in the event of a invasion. So I don't know. Certainly the semis, which are sort of dependent on TSM, a lot of them down a lot today here. NVIDIA, AMD. Question is, I guess, is what's going to happen when we get to the open here, and whether we're going to get the buying brigade jumping in, or are we going to see a continuation of selling? So I guess we'll just have to these gaps. We'll just have to wait till we get that sorted out a little bit. Yeah, TSM is probably taken the worst of it. I haven't looked at TSM yet. Hit down $10. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the market takes this. So I see Megan's still probably got her Disney trade on. Actually, Disney's holding up pretty well. 19's down only 19 cents. So there you go. Everything is way out of ranges. I know Thor likes to trade these camera pivots, but they're really we're not in between too many S3 and S4s, or R3s and S3s. Yeah. So we'll see. You know, like I said, this could be a buy the dip moment here. I've seen this happen before. So market just rips as soon as we open here. So let's we're gonna have to just sit on our hands here and wait and see what happens. I guess Intel is up because
Hey, what's up, Brian?
Good morning.
Good morning. You said my name 3 times, so like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
You just say my name 3 times, and it's here's Johnny. So you know, so I just thought I'd pop in. I hadn't heard Andrew come in yet, so I thought I'd come hang out and just see how things are going.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, what do you do with a day like this when everything's sort of outside? I know you like to trade Camarilla pivots, but everything's sort of outside R3, S3.
Yeah, for me, so we got a couple things coming up. One, we've got a Fed speaker that's going to start speaking like 5 minutes after the open, so that should be weird, according to TradingTerminal.com. And then we have Beige Book at 2. So we have all kinds of fun things today that could mess with our day. Normally on a day like today, since it's a tighter range and it was actually a higher range before the big sell, I'd like to look for a squeeze. Hopefully for a pullback to my S4 area, and then maybe get in on the short fund if things set up there and the market is truly starting to distribute and go weak. We could certainly get short a little bit later, but with this extension to the downside off of yesterday's highs, I'm probably going to look for a squeeze at some point here.
Right. That's kind of what I think. Kind of feel like we're going to get a move. We're eventually going to get a move higher, back into some ranges here.
For sure.
Tesla's kind of popping up here. Let's see, I should let me share my screen. Yeah, Tesla's kind of moving up here. I don't know. Tesla, I guess, sold just selling off for the rest of the market. But I guess if there's continued sort of tension here between China and U.S., probably may not bode well for Tesla, which is depending on China for a lot of their production and sales. Intel's high of day. All right,
All
we
right.
got 30 seconds to the open. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, good luck, everybody. Good luck, sir.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, Tesla is interesting, but there's just there's nothing, there's no volume there. There's no liquidity. So we'll see what happens there. Intel popping a bit.
Yeah, Intel's the one that's really like against the trend today. Nvidia, and the Intel's been really strong in the pre-market.
Yeah, ding, ding, ding. Here we go.
Ding, ding, ding.
So Tesla's getting some orders to the upside. Qs are selling off a little bit. The SPY is bouncing. Amazon's dropping a bit.
Let's see how strong this push is here. Got some pretty decent absorption on the push. So we'll have to see how these go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm long. I got longs Tesla here. It just seems like maybe we're going to get a bit of a push on just a small size because it's a little early. We're maybe going to go green here.
Here it goes.
Here we go. Okay, I'm going to sell some through 255. Ooh, big drop. It's going to stay above the VWAP. So I'm glad I took a partial. Amazon's really dropping. Man, Intel's ripping.
Yeah, Intel was so aggressive just at the open. I grabbed a couple of contracts long on NQ future on the dip to see if I can get some of this squeeze here. So not diamond handed in any sense of the word. If this thing starts to sell, I'll be out of it real quick. But so far so good.
I'm out of the rest of Tesla for the time being.
Ooh, did that big seller hit there?
I'm not sure what's going to happen. With Tesla now.
I think I can do this too. There we go.
Got a little intel on that pullback, that minor pullback. Now we're going to move up here. Okay. See if we can get to 37.
I actually went ahead and bought a little bit of Tesla there on that pullback to S3 just to see what happens.
Nice. See what it does. And I don't know if it's sometimes it gets choppy.
It might.
Yeah. Intel's got a big order, some big orders at 37. So I'm just looking for a 37 move on this. Maybe sell a little bit more here, 36.84. I'm pretty sure it's going to 37. Ooh, AMD's getting burned here. Come on, Intel, don't fail me now.
Don't fail me now. We're just kind of chopping a little bit here. A little price discovery.
Yeah, a little bit of chop right now. Yeah, typically Fed speakers have not really had much impact on the market. But you never know. They're always pretty careful about what they say. So I think as you were mentioning and Peter was mentioning, the beige book is probably something that's going to have more impact, but that's not coming around till 2:00. All right, 5 minutes into the open.
All right. So, cool. So I was just popping over. How's everyone in YouTube doing over there? I haven't gotten to say hi to Aliyah in like a week or so. Tesla's order book's loading up a little bit bullish, right, or bearish right now. So kind of be careful with this area. It's starting to look like it may come back down. So if it does, I'm going to get out of it. And we'll just kind of hold off and see if we get a better setup here. But we got a buyer here right at S3. So if they can hold us up, should be a nice move off of this area. We should get a nice, could at least get back up to like 260 or something like that.
Okay, we're back at near high of day on Intel. Let's just see if we're going to push. Here's the push now. Yes.
Here it goes.
Yes. Here we go. Just I'm going to sell some more here. 36.94. 91 filled. Here we go. There we go. All right. 37. Taking some more off. 17.
All right, we're pushing now.
Wow, Tesla's kind of ripping here too.
Yeah, it's pushing pretty good. I haven't gotten profit on it, but I'm still holding it. I'm in on this pullback here. So my stop below the low, but I'm going to go to break even now. And if it comes back down, I'll probably get out of it and then try and get because my RVR is a little wide actually. So if I can get it, I could actually get a better RVR if I get stopped. Otherwise, my target is sitting up around like 259 for a good RVR.
All right.
It's like 258.55, like right in front of yesterday's high, basically. Moment of truth here on this one. Having a lot of trouble getting through this 256 seller. But they're buying overall. CVD is green. So, but if we lose here, we'll probably run back towards 250 where our best buyer's at. But right now, we're still buying pretty well into 256, so it looks like they want it. But we'll see if they can do what they want. A new 1 minute low here would be not a great signal.
No, we're looking like we're getting ready to break down here. So pretty much cleared out my Intel position there. So I kind of figured it was going to do this pullback after we got through that number.
I'm being boring right now. I'm just waiting to see. I don't want to do anything else. If this works, this could just be my day right here. So I don't want to get too fun. Apple ripping? Of course. I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
What
range is this then? Oh, yeah. Way down here. Almost made it back to S4.
Some big orders building again above 37 for Intel. I'm flat right now. Ooh, AMD's popping up. So is Nvidia.
We just found another buyer on the Qs and Q. Squeezed it a little bit, but it got absorbed really fast by a seller.
Dang. Should have flipped my position on Intel. Oh well, c'est la vie. Intel down to the 9 EMA.
Yeah, look at that. Here. Look at when they buy. Look how that just completely got absorbed by a seller.
You know, the funny thing was, I was going to say, like yesterday, I noticed I didn't take any swing positions, but I did notice as we ended the day, the VIX was up quite a bit. The markets were up, but the VIX was up, which was I just thought it was kind of interesting. I don't know.
A little extra volatility there is definitely giving you a little warning.
Yeah, a little bit of a flag there. People were looking for some protection after the big run up.
Yeah, I can do that. Look at this. They're really struggling to get through this seller, but they're buying a lot on Tesla. They're just really having a lot of trouble getting through this seller, and it's an iceberg seller that's actually in front of 256, right there.
Yeah, Amazon. That Amazon pick was a good short.
Oh, sure was.
Not sure. I thought we're in the middle of Prime Day. This isn't good.
Yeah. Amazon Prime Day.
Or Prime Days or whatever. Go out and buy.
It's a Prime Day.
Buy crap. Just buy something.
Dude, my guilty pleasure right now is the TikTok shop. Man, that thing is rough. You're just sitting there. They already know what I want because they see what I look at. And then it's just like every so often they're like, you know you want it. And I'm like, oh, I don't want it. They're like, yes, you do. I'm like, no, I don't. And they're like, yes, you do. Yes, I do. Dang it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I want it.
This thing I want right now it's called like the Plod Note. It's like a little like AI that like records what you're saying and then puts it into document form. I'm like, oh my God, that'd be so fun. Ooh. All right, there's 256. They went and hit them. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if they continue to buy through or if they get rejected. If they get rejected, this thing's going to dump. Come on. Push, 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 push. Yeah, buy it. A lot of buyers on SMCI sitting around, between 820 and 830, this $10 range down here. A lot of buyers. Tesla's still pushing, still holding.
Yeah, Tesla's going to go green.
I'm not too far off, but you can see here. My target's right here underneath this high. It's just with using this low, using the low I used. Here, I'll just show you. You can see here, my stop was right here. So my target's going to be right up here. We got almost 500 people watching with 248 likes.
Yeah.
So what do you say if this thing hits this target? Everybody hits the button.
Oh, look at that. Tesla went green.
If it comes down and stops me out, then you can unhit your button. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That'd be mean.
Just get along some Amazon just to see if we can get back up to 187, or I should say 190. Big order there.
We'll see if it makes it. Watch this thing. After I did that, it's going to turn around, run all the way back, and stop me out, just to be super embarrassing.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
That'd be amazing.
Market will prove you wrong. Come on, don't do that.
I already think they watch my stream sometimes, because I like the other day I was live streaming, and while I was live streaming, I had my I had my target on and all this stuff. I came out, got stopped to the penny, and then it came back, and then I was just like, what the heck? I was like, you only did that for that reason. I know you. Target's just a 4-to-1, Yassine. So we're just looking to get up here. Kyle, there's a diagnosis that goes with that. Peter, I really want to.
Just bailed on Amazon.
I'll publish it if you help me write it.
Well, Intel did that big surge, and then now it's joining the sell-off. Amazon's back dipping in here. Yeah, so far we haven't had any big moves one way or another. SPY is just kind of chopping. We're just doing some price discovery, basically. Qs are just sort of slowly leaking away here.
Qs is in a spot where it's going to be hard for, it's going to want to squeeze here. If it sits here for too long, shorts that are in from the highs of yesterday are going to start covering. And that'll squeeze it a little bit. And if it squeezes a little bit, then the buy the dippers will buy the dip, and they'll try and punish the bears just once. They love punishing the bears, man. Hey, boss. Don't short Tesla yet. Just let me get to my target before you start doing it. Anyone watching his account numbers, make sure he doesn't start shorting me.
Hmm.
I'm just kind of hanging here. I'm seeing if we can hit a target on this thing or not. CVD is cumulative volume delta. So basically, when we're talking about CVD, we're talking about the buys plus the sells, right? So you end up with a positive or a negative number, just depending on if there's more buys or more sells. So right now on Tesla, for instance, you can see on my screen my overall CVD, or on today's session, we've bought almost 1.5 million shares more than we've sold. Right, so in the grand scheme of is it buying or is it selling? Right now, we're buying. Now, does that mean we keep going up? No, not necessarily, right? But it does mean the overall trend for the day has been buying, and in the past 15 minutes, much the same. So, and this is really important, to pay attention to, especially if you're in a long, but you notice your CVD is red. Good chance you could be on a squeeze in a distribution, not necessarily in a bullish run. And when that it rolls over and runs against you, you're kind of like, what happened? That kind of helps with that. This is the CVD on the ticker. My pleasure.
AMD looks like it's trying to bounce here again, but again, it's still in a downtrend with this 9 EMA. NVIDIA is really holding in, so it hasn't really done much.
Volume declined as we pulled back towards the previous day's close, so I'm still okay with us topping here. I haven't seen like a big volume spurt saying that we're going to start selling yet, so I'm still hanging for target. If there's a bullish, there's an order that just came out lower. It's down near 256.
On what? On the
Tesla. On my
on
Tesla
Tesla.
here.
Yeah.
You don't want to buy there, buy higher. Dang it. Come on. Natalia, you know, partial. I don't like to partial. I use range trades, so I trade a little bit lower risk, and because of that, I need to hold shares in order to make money. So what I would find when I started trading is, in order to make 3 or 4R on a ticker, I'd have to get like an 8R or a 12R move in order to actually make 3 or 4R, because by the time I was done partialing it, you know, half off, 25% off, 5% off, whatever, by the time I got to, you know, I would get these big moves and I'd make very, very little money. So I just decided it was going to be actually a little bit easier. I could just target smaller moves, which I got all the time, and just hold for the entire move. And it was a lot easier for me. I'm a lot better at doing this too. You know, requires a lot less effort. See, I haven't touched the keyboard in, I don't know what, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 10 minutes or so. I haven't even had to touch my keyboard. Just been sitting here watching, hanging out with you fine people. It's a little boring.
It's okay. Boring is good.
Boring
is good. If you're making money, boring is good.
But I'm not so good at reading the intermediate price action like my dude, the Prophet of Profit here. You know, he's so good at reading the momentary pressure and the momentary volatility of the market, and that's just from a couple decades of experience. He can really see that weakness and that strength, so he can make acts on smaller decisions and do that. For me, I'm not so good at that part. I'm just kind of better at finding the bottom of a range and the top of the range, so I just play back and forth. See what I mean? I told you there was a bid coming out down here. Look, we ran right for it. 256 right into it. Ooh, that's not good. The order book looks horrible now.
See what Amazon does here. Still think it's got some downside. No positions for me now. I'm just, got that nice run on Intel and a bit of a move on Tesla. Again, Tesla always seems to chop me out. It gets a nice move at the open, then does a pullback where it even loses the VWAP. NVIDIA is looking a little bit tenuous here.
Well, you know, I was thinking what you were talking about right before the open, but you got to think like, you know, so much of this like sector is held up by like the AI, the chips, and all that stuff. So the news you had mentioned, you know, specifically hammers this. You know, if a certain, you know, like if China decided to do something with Taiwan, that could massively interrupt the chip market, the AI sector, computing, high level computing, all kinds of things like that. So this is a, you know, it was not great for the tech sector, I think.
No, this was interesting news for sure. Kind of shook a few people up there. So took a few people by surprise. I know Andrew threw on a TZA trade yesterday at the end of the day, which was very apropos. Sometimes you just get lucky with.
I mean, I wish I had shorted a couple futures at the end of yesterday. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That would have been. I would have been up I would have been up crazy this morning if I just shorted the high of yesterday.
Yeah, I was kind of I was kind of thinking we were really getting overbought and thinking it would be a good, TZA might have been which is basically a bear trade on IWM. If you look at the IWM, I mean, we're up like 12% over the last 4 or 5 days. It's just unbelievable. All right,
Nice.
Tesla pulled back to the View app there.
Good work, Matthew. You want to take me out to breakfast since you made money today?
Buddy, I'm sorry I was late.
Hey, what's
Good
up,
morning,
boss?
good morning, good
Nice on
morning.
Maya.
Good to hear your voice. I was keeping your chair warm for you. So
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
hey, YouTube, we got Andrew in here just for you. Don't forget, throw those in there. I haven't hit my target yet, but we were gonna go thumbs up if I hit my target, but I'm still holding. But all yours, boss.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
nice trade on Mara.
Thor did a great trade on Tesla, huh? I'm still long Tesla through the 250 calls that I bought yesterday. So that was a pretty good trade. Really appreciate that. I did buy TZA yesterday just before the market close, which is essentially shorting IWM, but doesn't do good yet. The market is gapping down, especially Qs. Apple, NVDA down 4%, AMD down 6%, Apple 2.4%.
TNA is
news.
You didn't take any profits? Like look at TNA and TNA, the small caps just lit up.
Yeah,
buyers
small
came
cap
in.
still holding up. Yeah, this is super crazy.
Wow.
So what did you trade? What did you trade, Brian? In terms
I
of
traded Intel. Got a nice move through 37. I did trade Tesla at the open and got a move up. I did some partials and then got stopped out when it pulled back and dropped below the View app. So, and I did an Amazon trade that didn't really work out. So, Qs and the SPY really are kind of Qs tried to break out, or the SPY tried to break out there. It's funny how the people just after that pop, everybody's just in there selling Intel.
Is there any specific news or fundamental thing that the market gapped down?
Yeah, I think the RNC convention. I think former President Trump made some comments. I don't know if he was asked something. I just remember hearing this. He was either asked or he made some comments about if China decided to invade Taiwan, would they help? Would they step in and defend it?
Yeah, I'm gonna long Tesla before.
He kind of said no.
And he said no, huh?
Yeah, wow. So I think that when now you're thinking all these companies that depend on Taiwan Semi for chips, so that's I think why Intel popped, and why a lot of these other stocks dropped. And
Nvidia, just wide in here for the break of half the day. It's gonna go. Let's see if it can get to 259. Adding a little bit more. I'm along also Tesla calls to yesterday. Nice. Calls that I have 250. Let's see if you can get to 259. Sure. I was getting it on a better entry. NVDA. So NVDA is dropping really significantly too.
Yeah.
NVDA, there is a potential level down here for a bounce at 118.87. Just like
I'm
you go
short.
to
I'm short Amazon. Just see if we get down to 188.40. There's a lot of orders down here, so
let's see if Tesla can continue to hold. Right, Tesla couldn't hold it. Let's see.
okay, I'm covering everything. I'm going to cover some here, 183.40 or 183.50. $188.50, sorry. On Amazon. Big order at 188. Yeah, the Q's just rolled over. Q's are now dropping pretty hard here.
Tesla. Gonna get a stop that. I'm gonna get stopped out on Tesla, guys. Gotta stop that on Tesla. It's a bad loss. NVDA is dropping significantly. I'm gonna get a long on NVDA at 118.87. It's selling off. I previously tried to catch a long on it. I got to stop that at the low of the day, but now it's selling off nicely. Let's see if we can 118.87. 118.87 is a level on daily chart. So if you go to the daily chart, it's coming toward this. Actually, it's really reaching really soon. So let's see. What about this 118? It's another one, a daily level. So I can actually put that here. See, as you see here, if you see my screen, potentially this is the level. Then there is another level down here. So kind of these levels around this area.
Taking another partial on Amazon at 188.26. Ooh, TSM selling off too.
Oh, selling off great.
Wow.
And then actually a little bit too early to take a reversal. This one is really no. I'm not long in NVDA. I'm long and I plan to go long, but this one is super. I tried to go long. If you see my chart for the squeeze above the VWAP, but I got to stop out. So
okay, here we go with Amazon. Let's take another partial here, 188.15. Oh, it's going to go to 188. There we go. Covered some more.
AMD 164 could be an area for a reversal. Amazon is selling off too.
Yeah, Amazon, that was a nice little breakdown there. You could see all the orders sitting there, 188. There's a big order on NVIDIA, 118.
Yeah. For NVIDIA 118, there's a big order at 118.
Yes. Seems to be bouncing though. There's an order at 120 on NVIDIA.
Kind of bounced back heavily at 118.87. This is a really nice bounce at 118.87.
Yeah, 120 is the 9 EMA, so just be careful of rejection there. Wow, the Dow has gone green.
Dow is green. IWM is
Boeing is green. The UAL is green. That's interesting. Energy sector is doing really well. XLE is up quite a bit.
No, I sold all of my TNA. I bought some TZA, which is essentially short of IWM. Right now, I'm profitable on it, but I'm not sure if it's. I want to add more on it. It's essentially short of IWM. This market's super strong for small caps. Really difficult to short.
Yeah.
AMD 164 could be potentially a reversal area. So the conviction for TZA, I'm kind of tricky. I'm not really 100% sure that anyone should do that trade. So IWM has been running up, 12% in 5 days. So usually it's time for kind of a pullback, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I really don't have much of a conviction on this TZA. I got a small size and see if you can get a pullback on the index. So NVIDIA is selling off. Let's see, 118 could be a good area.
Nice, Matthew.
Yeah, potentially 118, 117. So as you see on a daily chart, there are, if you can break these, then there are, after that, 116, these areas on a daily chart that I'm marking them. You can actually see that. These are the areas that potentially this one, this level. If you want to do a moving average area, these are the area that potential for bounce.
Yeah, I'm just going to cover some more Amazon. 187.30. I'm running out of shares. Wow, another drop on the Qs.
NVIDIA, let's see if NVIDIA goes to 118. AMD definitely is going to go to 164. So President Trump said we're not going to help Taiwan, huh? That was the...
Yeah, I think that was kind of like the comment that took the wind out of the balloon on, well, some of these semis were kind of struggling with the sector rotation. And that was kind of like the icing on the cake, I think.
It was time for a pullback anyways for these big caps. Right, so we're getting into an area for a potential reversal on NVIDIA and AMD. 118 would be a good area for the first cat try. Let's see if NVIDIA can actually get to 118. As you see, 118.86, I posted on the chat room for the area. So as you see here, around this area for the July 1st, you see the huge week here. So it's struggling there. In 87. So broke down that one. Let's see if we can get to 118. AMD is going to get toward 118. What's the AMD S4? Far below the S4 on AMD.
All right. Well, that's it for me on Amazon. It's that dip below 187. Ooh. Not ready for a bounce yet here on the on NVIDIA. It's not even close. I think we're coming down to 250 on Tesla.
All right, because NVIDIA is selling off. AMD is at 164, huh? I'm going to get a long at AMD 164. See if we can hold this level. Put a stop loss at below 163.50. So I'm going to get a long at AMD. Could be potential trade on options too. Let me get the options chain of AMD as well. AMD has a nice option chain. Put the calls. We're trading at 165. Spread is 10 cents. 167.50 spread is better. 170 is even better. Well, I took it long, but potentially 170 calls would be interesting too. NVIDIA also popped up.
Yeah, I just bought some 119 calls, 255 on NVIDIA. Price, that was the price, 119s. Qs are bouncing a bit here. We're still downtrending, but still got that 9 EMA to deal with. Qs are at the 9 EMA. SPY, I should say.
Hey everyone on YouTube. Sorry, Carlos isn't with me today, but I'm going to bring Mike here with us. Hello, Mike.
Hey Brent, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's hard not having Carlos on the stream.
Yeah, right. It's things happen. That's the nice thing about trading, right? And I mean, today's what a day, right? Psychology. We might as well talk psychology when we got Carlos running into a family issue, right? It's so interesting, right, Brent, that life happens. No matter what we try to do with our trading, life always happens, and we always have to be able to adapt from that. So I think today's a good example of that with that aspect. It's good to hear your voice though on the chat as well.
Yeah, I try not to speak too much because there's a lot going on, and I'm just like a dumb trader, a retail trader. So, and I do like mostly investing. I don't do day trading because I'm running this show. But it's great to have you here. We're trying out this new mod series kind of at the tail end of our live streams to introduce us to an array of mods, their advice, and their strategies, but also to talk about the courses that you guys present. And today you're going to talk about psychology.
Yeah, so this evening we have I have a psychology webinar with BBT on kind of how your strategy interacts with trading psychology, and it's very interesting kind of journey that traders take, right? And you have that slide, I think, Brent. Maybe you can pull that up so they aren't staring. The normal path of a trader. Do you have that one? Yeah.
There we go. Got
So,
it.
yeah, that one right there. If you look at this slide for everybody out there on YouTube, this is the normal path, right? It's the path I took. It's the path that 95% of all traders take. You somehow get interested in day trading. For me, I found Andrew's book in the middle of Kuwait while I was visiting Marines. Read his book, completely changed my life. Called up my wife a week later, said, I'm no longer going to be a forensic accountant. I'm going to do day trading when I retire. Right. And then you started looking and seeing the marketing out there, and you're like, yeah, day trader, it's going to be easy. It's going to be short. I got this. I mean, how hard is it? You look at the charts, you see an entry, you take it. If it goes against you, you get out. If it goes in your favor, you get out and you make money, and you're like, yeah, I can do this. Well, then reality hits, right? You've realized that when you take losses, it's more painful than you ever thought it would be. And you can't hold on to your winnings. So you start looking for help, right? You find a community, you find a YouTube channel to hang out with people, to express your concerns and to find out information. And then you build a strategy, and then you go ahead and trade it. And then you go into live trading. And you can't replicate what Andrew does, Brian does, Thor, Pierre, Paris. You can't replicate that. And you're like that trader over there at the end of this slide, right? Just scratching your head, what's going on. And what ends up happening, right, is a trader enters what I kind of call a death cycle. And that's that other slide that we got here, where you develop a strategy in Sim. You have success. You're like, I'm making money all day long with fake money. So you transition to live trading, but you can't reproduce the results. And you just go, why can't I? I should be able to. And then what happens is your mind starts to blame the strategy. Well, it's got to be this strategy because I'm not performing the way I should, or I don't have enough market information, right? And so then the next new thing comes in, and you see a new trader making money with a new strategy. So maybe you were trying to follow Andrew, but then you see all the money Thor's making. So you're like, oh, I'm going to transition to Camarillo pivot. So you go back to Sim. And you develop that strategy and you have success. And then you transition to live and then you fail again. And you're like, what's going on? And then you see Paris. And it's just this death cycle that you go around. And you kind of have to interrupt that cycle, right? and understand that you have to develop a strategy that you believe in, that you know 100% is yours. Because when you do that, you no longer have to worry about thinking it's the market or your strategy. You can start to look internally and go, okay, what is it about me that's causing me not to be able to perform the same way in sim? And that's when you can really start to address psychology. And a big mistake traders make is they think they can address psychology before they've got the strategy. I've worked with a lot of trading psychologists, interacted with them a lot. And what I have found is that traders, or those psychologists, always ask traders right off the bat, do you have a strategy? And if they say yes, then they'll work with you. But if you say, no, I don't have a strategy, they're like, well, I can't help you, because it's almost impossible to get that way. So that's what the webinar today is about. We're going to talk about how you get out of this death cycle and back into a profitable way where you can close that performance gap from sim trading to live trading.
And just to follow up, how can, say, our YouTube audience be a part of those courses? What do they have to do?
So for YouTube, for the webinar that I'm doing tonight, you would just hop over to Bear Bull Traders. You'd have to join as an elite member, either on their monthly subscription or their yearly package that they have. To get access to that, I also talk about this a lot in my how to find a trading strategy course that's on Trading Terminal. You just go to the academy there and you can find out about there. And I talk a lot. You can reach out to me at Mike at Bear Bull Traders. If you got questions about it, I'm always willing to help people with any questions they got on that. It truly is a unique profession, trading, right, Brent? We want to make choices, right? And we want to supplement our income with trading money. But this is the one profession that no matter how hard you work, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the results back like in other professions. This is one where you have to truly look at yourself, figure out what's causing you not to perform the way you want, and address that issue and work hard there, not necessarily in trading. Because after 3 or 4 months, you know the strategies, you know how to put an order in, you know where you should stop out, you know where you should take profits. Now it's about actually doing that. So
if you had one piece of advice for a trader that's just beginning, or somebody who's just been dabbling but not seriously doing any kind of day trading or swing trading, what would it be?
So my one piece of advice is, if this is something that you want to do and you want to achieve something, you have to know why you're doing it. Trading is something that can punch you in the gut. It is going to make you face some of your deepest fears, shortcomings. I've had to overcome those, but it was always the why that got me through. When you know why you're doing something, the obstacles do not matter. You will blow through the obstacles. You'll never quit. You don't care what the market does to you. All you care about is accomplishing that goal or that why. And for me, that goal was working from home and being able to spend time with my daughter, because after 23 years in the Marine Corps, I kind of missed my son's life through high school. And when I retired, I was able to achieve that. And now that she's going out to play collegiate soccer, I'm actually going to go watch her play every game that she plays in college over the next 4 years and do some traveling. And that's all thanks to trading. But I wasn't able to get there without doing some hard soul searching in the process.
Wow, that's amazing. Just to the YouTube audience, we're trying out a new segment where we allow our moderators to kind of share their insight, but also for you to ask questions, because usually that's reserved for people who are part of the Bear Bull Traders chat room on the website. As you talked about before, you can go there and sign up. But on YouTube, everything's free. So this kind of gives you an insight into what they're teaching, and this gives you an opportunity to ask for any advice. So I'd say if you have any questions, ask them in the chat. Uh, we'll have Mike answer them the best that he can. If you have any questions about, especially the psychology of trading and any issues that you face.
Yeah. Yeah, by all means, put it in there. I saw your comment, Hank Day. Yeah, my voice. This is what happens when you're a drill instructor for 3 years and you just yell at recruits every day, all day long. You tear up your voice and you're like, should I fix it? And the Navy doctors come in and say, yeah, we can operate on you. We can fix that voice for you. And I'm like, it's not painful. I can survive. I'm not letting you cut up my throat. I can just imagine what I'd sound like after that.
What has being in the military taught you about being a good trader?
Oh, discipline by far. Andrew talks about it as well. I attribute the discipline in the military to helping me be disciplined in trading, being able to follow rules, but most importantly, doing what's right when nobody's looking. And I think that's the issue that traders get accustomed to or experience when they start, is in their career, they have rules that they have to abide by. They have a manager, they have somebody holding them accountable. And when you come to trading, you're holding yourself accountable. And that's very, very difficult to do if you have never done that before. And being in the military, in the position I was, there was somebody over me, but not like watching over me, right? So I had to hold myself accountable because I could pretty much do anything I wanted with the position I held. It was just not the right thing to do whatever I wanted, right?
Did that kind of help you where you had a strategy and you're like, oh no, it's not working, and that discipline helped you focus?
Yeah, it really does, right? Because I can look at a trade, right, and be like, hey, this isn't my strategy, but I can take it because nobody's looking at me. But wait, no, I shouldn't because my rules say not to, and this isn't it. And it really helped me execute that way and stay disciplined and trade my trade book. And once you know that your trade book works and you know what the probability is of a trade, when I trade my trade book, I have a 74% probability that the trade's going to work. When I don't trade my probability, I have about a 24% win rate. It's pretty simple now to say, well, that's not my trade book. I'm not taking the trade. I'm not putting money at risk for a 20% chance of winning, right?
How do you avoid that FOMO?
By reminding myself that I'm putting my money on the line for a 20% win. And I like to play poker and I like to play craps, and the probability doesn't make sense to me, right? Like, why would I put money for a 20% chance to win? I'd rather put money when I have 74% chance to win, when the odds are in my favor, not when the odds are in the market's favor.
That's interesting you made that comparison because often trading is seen as gambling. So how do you, in psychological terms, kind of divorce that mentality of being a gambler instead of a trader?
Very, very interesting, right? And Hank, I'll get to your question right after this because it is a good question. I think I'm able to separate gambling from trading in the fact that I look at it from the perspective of who is the house. When I come in and I look at my screens, I want to be the house. I want to be in favor. So if I'm taking trades where I have the higher probability of winning, I'm good. When I go to a casino and go gamble, I know the house has the edge, even when I play craps or when I play blackjack. But when I go to those places, I look for the best odds in my favor. Like I play double deck or single deck blackjack. I find those tables. I won't go to a table that has 8 decks or a table that is shuffling cards all the time because it lowers my probability. So I look at it kind of in that way. So, and let me get to Hank's question here. Do I do an emotional check before trading? Absolutely, Hank. Every morning when I wake up, I assess my physical being, meaning, am I tired? Am I sore? Am I sick? I assess my mental state. Am I focused? Am I aware? Am I conscious? And then I also assess my emotional state. Am I confident in my trading? Am I overconfident? Am I underconfident? Am I doubtful, right, from the previous day? And based on that assessment, it allows me to determine if I should trade. If I'm really not in the right place, I'll just say, hey, I'm not going to trade. This isn't my day. And I just won't trade that day. I'll do something else because there's no point in me putting out money. But with that, I also do that assessment after every trade I take. I take a trade and I reset myself. And it takes about a minute to do. I just look, hey, am I angry? Am I frustrated? What's my confidence level? Do I have some doubt? And how aware am I? And if I don't hit a certain threshold, I grade myself on a 2-point scale. But if I don't hit at least a 7 when adding those numbers up, I just walk away because I know I'm going to do something bad in the market. And it's been proven by my stats in trading each time. So that's how I kind of get around it.
Do we want to take that one last question before we wrap up?
Did I miss
There's
one?
one by the Mr. Doodoo.
Oh, okay. How do you judge the time you should take a break if something's going on in your personal life that affects your mental when trading and off trading? So that's a great question. How do I assess that? So I grade myself on a 2-point scale. So if in an area, so we'll say physical, if I get a 2 there, awesome. If I'm, let's say, mental and I got beat up the next day or the previous day, sorry, in the market, had a lot of losses, maybe I violated rules and I'm just not there, right? What I'll do in the morning is I still run through my pre-market routine. I say, hey, I'm done trading. And then I'll come back in the afternoon because I'm in the chat with BBT in the afternoon. So about an hour before I get on to the closing show with Peter, I do another assessment. And if I feel that I've been able to calm myself down, put myself back in a proper place to trade, I'll trade the afternoon session. But again, if I'm not, then I'll just come into the chat and have a discussion with Peter and I'll talk about why I'm not trading that day. And then I repeat the process the next morning. I'll do the same thing. There are times where I've gone 2 to 3 days without trading because there's been some stuff going on in my personal life that just didn't make it appropriate for me to trade. But mainly I can typically get through either a half a day or a day there, Mr. Donahue.
Great, thank you so much. I think we're going to wrap it up there. I know there's more questions, but we'll have you back for sure. Thank you so much, Mike. We're trying this out new segment to introduce you guys more to our moderators who are a big part of the Bear Bull Traders community. And as a YouTube community, you don't get to see that. That's all behind a paywall. That's in the chat room. So we kind of want to show you some of the people that are behind the success of that platform. And if you're interested, you can go to the site, sign up for a membership, and engage more often. There you can see live trading with the moderators. There you can continue live trading with Brian and Andrew. But on YouTube, because it's free, we want to just give you kind of a sense of what you'll get. Sorry. Is there anything else you want to add, Mike? Sorry, I'm doing impromptu hosting duties here.
I know you're like, no, nothing really. Just understand everybody out there in YouTube. Every one of us in the chat room started where you're at. And that's the power of the community, right? You can be brand new in trading and come into our community, and everybody's going to welcome you. And no question is a dumb question, because if you have the question, somebody else has it. We understand that new traders come every day, and we enjoy that. There's not a moderator at BBT that doesn't enjoy helping other people. That's why we're a part of the community. That's why Andrew has brought us on board to help out with the community, right? Because we enjoy teaching, we enjoy helping traders, and our goal is to make sure you don't make the same dumb mistakes that we made. If I can prevent you from making those, then I've done my job, and I can live with myself at the end of the day. So it's been a pleasure being here, Brent. Thank for you. Having me on. I look forward to seeing you all again out here in YouTube.
Yeah, as a dumb trader, thank you so much. This helps a lot, and I am learning a lot just running this program. All right, everybody on YouTube, thank you for so much for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.